Hey, Jim Kam here, founder, franchisor of multiple brands exceeding over 150 locations. And in today's video's topic, I'm gonna tell you where can you save costs in your franchise and where you can absolutely not. So let's start with the basic. The moment you're gonna start opening your first physical business, AKA your first franchise, right? So first business. So let's start first business. So initially, when you start opening your first franchise, there are fees that are inevitable for you to go through. Let's say franchise fees for the franchise agreement, rent deposit, and also there's construction. I can count decoration as a separate one if that helps, decoration. I'll explain the details. And also equipment, inventory. So when you first start your business, those are the major and main costs for you to basically upfront the project. Yes, you can go through a business loan, but still all of this will count in your total initial investment. So of course, franchise fees, depending on condition and the number of location that you're opening, we do give discount for serious franchisees that happen to open more than one location. But initially, all brands start at 35K. And rent deposit really depend on the location. Sometimes the landlord will ask for 3, sometimes 6, but let's say we'll always try to negotiate for you to get a 3-month deposit in total, equivalent to 3 months deposit. And in construction, this is where that I can say that you as our new franchisee will save the most. Also decoration, I'll jump into it after. But construction, if you go to any of our locations, you will see minimal construction, but we'll keep it clean. We'll keep it efficient. We just want everything that is necessary for you to run your business smoothly. And don't forget, even though we're running a physical location, but our prime and main clients comes from takeouts and deliveries. So it doesn't matter how beautiful you make the wall, the flooring, the ceiling. That doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, the only thing that a customer will care about is the quality of the food and also the quality of their service and of course, the price. That's why we sit in the best spot if you focus on that. And decoration comes with the same thing. We have franchisees that they really want to have some fancy chairs, some fancy wall paint on the wall instead of going with wallpapers. Yes, they can all do that. But what I suggest is do it after your business starts making money. If you see that your business can generate you lots of profits with minimal construction and decoration, the moment you get to make money, you will see that it's kind of pointless for you to re-inject that money to just make the place more beautiful because the customer, they only fell in love with you, with your staff, and also with the product. You might be asking this question: what are the average costs for construction for a regular shop? Let's take onigiri by example. What do you think you need? You need a toilet, right? Just one. And you need the counter and also floor, wall, and electrical work, plumbing. And those are basically all the basic that you need. But more importantly, we want and we like find location that already have the basic electrical work and the basic plumbing. So this way will help you save a lot on that because those two are the main spending for the initial general construction. So probably we want to keep the total construction between 50 to under 100K. That's the amount. But trust me, we tend to be more around 50, 80K. We rarely go up to 100K. It does happen. If it happens, it's because the landlord give us tenant allowance. So you can use it to spend it on making your space more beautiful. So it's still, if you do the math, it's still gonna be under 100K. So to recap the initial spending, electrical work and plumbing, those are the two main things that you cannot cheap out because if something goes wrong, it will cost you even more money at the end. So if something related to the plumbing goes wrong, there's a lot of fixes. You might even need to close down the stores for a couple of days, if not weeks. So those are the things that you should not chip out. One thing that you can really save on is on the decoration because I see multiple franchisees, they made the place so beautiful and in their own way, which costs them basically no money. And it's so nice and makes it unique. They have their unique touch. And also equipment, it's kind of the same price for every stores unless you can find some good prices in the secondary market. I suggest you to look around. There's possibilities. Inventory, that's a no. That's basically the only thing that will ensure you that you can use it to generate income because you need to buy good quality inventory in order to sell it. That customer will be truly happy to consume. So this inventory, which covers food, this is something that you cannot cheap out because we are focused on quality. Even though we're offering such a good product at such an affordable price, but we still want to have the best price for the value that they're getting. So you cannot cheap out on food quality. And also, after the initial first investment for running the business, what are the costs that you have to pay? What are the things you can truly save? And what are the things that you cannot save on and cheap out on? Let's start first with labor, okay? So what labor costs? What labor means? Labor means the staff that you're gonna hire, including yourself. So by operating a quick service restaurant, you need to understand one word: efficiency. Efficiency is really the key to success. Efficiency. So this is really the key to success. What I mean by efficiency is you will hire people if the staff that you hire, let's say take Poke Station by example, takes them 5 minutes to make a bowl, and that means you can count how many bowls they can make in an hour. It's not much. But on the other hand, imagine it only takes them a minute to make a bowl. How do you think the efficiency will go to? That means one person equals to 5 times the first employee. But how do you hire such a good people, or how do you train them? Firstly, start with yourself. Because why yourself? Because you will be the one undergoing the training. Even though you have an investor profile, a owner operator profile, both you need to go through the training with very serious intention. What I mean by serious intention is you need to be one of the best, if not the best, for your store. Because every other people that you will hire, they will look up to you. They will learn from you. If you're only operating at 50%, it's impossible that your employee will work and be more efficient than you, because you will be showing them the blueprint. And if them, by doing what you taught them, that is basically their best visual scenario. So if it takes you 5 minutes to make a bowl, it will take them 5 minutes, probably at best 4 minutes, but they will never have the picture on how they can make it in under a minute. But we have franchisees that they truly operate the whole business by themselves. They just workaholic, they like profits, they like to micromanage everything. That works best for them. But on the other case, another franchisee, they're also very serious in training. So they're picky with the people they hire. So also the manager will be the one representing you when you're not in the shop and when you're not in the store. So you need to make sure that the efficiency is truly on point. So let's recap. What I mean is labor cost is it's one of the two main spending in a quick service restaurant. So if you're overspending it, that's totally gonna cost in your profit. So make sure that you can do the math. It's very simple. How many staff you're putting? How many clients can they serve in an hour frame and during the day? So just do the math, calculate yourself, see if that percentage of labor cost makes sense to you. If it's 50% of the sales, it doesn't make sense. I explained it in a lot of my previous videos. Just go look into my YouTube page. I explained the breakdown costs of how to run the business. You will see that the two main things is labor costs and food costs. So which is the next thing that I will talk to you about. So yes, labor costs, it's something that you can truly work on to make sure that your business makes good profit. And food costs, on the other hand, not as flexible as labor, because it doesn't matter how well you control. The best scenario that can comes out is you're not wasting anything. So if you're not wasting anything, you're basically already at the best scenario possible. But of course, people are not perfect. Sometimes you will get a bunch of clients that they prefer to eat salmons and not tuna. So it happens. So for you to know your clientele taste, for you to know the demand of your clients, it's very important. So who's gonna do that? Do you think your employees gotta look it up for you, or you have to understand your business yourself? So this is the second point that I want all of you to focus on, is on the food cost and basically understanding your client. Why I'm saying that food costs you cannot save as much as labor. What I always say is most of the owner working in the stores, they're worth 1.5 or 2 times any employees. So basically, if you're in the store, you're worth at least 1.5 employees working. So the efficiency can basically double sometimes. But on the other hand, food costs, you can only save by percentage. So the worst case scenario is basically you gotta probably spend 50% on a food cost, which doesn't make sense, and it will make sure that you will fail. And what we want is we want all our franchisees to control under 30%. So this way you will basically guarantee a certain amount of profits if labor costs is not going through the roof. So 30% is supposed to be your highest limit. So do not exceed 30%. But whatever you can save below 30% comes directly through profits. Let's say if you manage to make it to 22%, that means you have an extra 8% that goes directly into your pocket. And if we take an average sales of the stores, which is 500,000 per year, so that means if you can control only 8% difference, you can have an extra 40K in your pocket at the end of the year. This is for 500K sales. But imagine it goes to 800K. So this will be much higher. I'll do a quick recap. So initial investment, what you can save, it's really on the construction. This is what we're specialized at. We want our franchisee to build the stores just to be able to fully run the business smoothly. That's the only thing that we require. We don't care if the toilet's not specified, made in with some specified tiles. That doesn't matter at all. And also on decoration. I'm not saying you should not decorate the store. I'm not saying make a very ugly store. But there are, let's say you don't need a very expensive painting. You don't even need an artist to paint the wall. You don't need some specific chairs, table. Just make sure that the store is clean and also they're very welcoming. This is the only thing that you need. Because most of the time, clients, like I said, will only remember how they were treated and also how good the food was and the service was. And after, the two main points is labor, which is really where you should focus, where to focus most. Because this is where you have the most margin in playing. And if you don't need an employees, basically you're pocketing all the profits. But yes, of course, you don't want to work 7 days. I understand that. But make sure that you can work 7 days. There's a lot of bad things coming in this world, so you don't know. And the second part is food cost. Just keep it under control, which is under 30%. Then you will have a very healthy business. So if there's anything else you want me to cover in the next video, just comment below and I'll see you. Peace out.